Hey, what is up everybody, the Destroyer here, and welcome back to another cast of the Rise of the Witch King patch 2.02 version 5.0.1. Today we have a 4v4 on Nevrast. So we'll be taking a look at this game. This is a longer one, so get your popcorn ready, I suppose. I think it's like an hour long or something. I don't remember. Anyway, we have our first player here in the bottom team. I guess we'll start actually over here. Left to right. We'll start with Excelsior, the Men of the West, in the bottom left there. And his partner, also Men of the West, Megrim. Another Men of the West player, Lazarus. And their last teammate is also Men of the West. It's Fenix, who also goes by Sania. And so there's a whole Men of the West team there. Interesting. And J2 Sex. I believe that's J2 Shot. So, where is that J2? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is J2 Shot, not J2 Sex. I'm not really calling him J2 Sex because that's just weird, but he's also Men of the West. And elf player here, The Chain. And we have another elf player who is Belzebub. That's J2 Shit. That's his name in this game, but it's Belzebub. And then we have Douche. I'm just going to say he's Douche because I don't know who he is actually, but that is everyone in this game there. So we have a dwarf, 2 elves, and a man versus 4 men of the West. So we'll see how that works out. Looks like Douche going for a thing of guardians there with his Hall of Warriors, of course. We have a a barracks being thrown down by Belzebub here. So he's going with a standard elven barracks strat. Looks like he canceled the second one there. We have horses being built from who's this? The Chain, of course. He is upgrading to Lindens, I guess. Quick Lindens. Interesting starting strat, I guess. Lindens can be very, very powerful in a 4v4. It can be very hard to deal with. We have a first battalion of Gondor warriors out here for J2 Shot. Gondor soldiers, rather. He's also getting archery range. Meanwhile, the Men of the West down here sending up some guys. Who was this again? This was Fenix. So Fenix sending up some guys here. Getting the rally call on about half of the troops there, unfortunately. He didn't quite place it correctly. Could have been delay or lag or whatever, but he will get that farm, it looks like. There's not a whole lot J2 Shot can do about that. He might even be able to highly damage the barracks. It's possible. Of course, he's gone for the soldier start. He's going to keep pumping up soldiers from there. And Lazarus has gone for a stables. Looks like he's upgraded to level 2, so he's going to go for Rohirrim, I'm guessing, is a starting thing. That could be very, very good indeed. It's always good in a 4v4 for one of your teammates to just go all cavalry, really. I've found. It can be really annoying for the other team to have to deal with as well. And you can be all over the place. And we also have some Gondor soldiers here moving out from Megrim, who has himself some Gondor or Rohan spearmen getting queued up there as well. And Excelsior pushing in against Douche the dwarf. With his soldiers, unfortunately getting trampled down by some Lindens, absolutely destroying them. We got some Lindens and some Lancers out here, so that'll be a good thing to have. I think those are Belzebubs actually. So Belzebub did go for Lancers, and he's also got 2 battalions of archers there as well. Douche does have some guardians, of course, as you would expect, continuing to pump them out. Does he have a forward mine though? Excelsior's got 2 battalions of archers as well as some swords and some pikes there. Should be fairly useful. There's going to be a lot of action going on in this match, so apologies if I miss something, but it is bound to happen. Also, I'm hoping I don't get too much lag as I am rendering a video in the background. I have no idea. It doesn't seem to be affecting anything, so good. Lazarus does have some Rohirrim indeed. That's good. Good choice. And we also have some Gondor Knights out here from Fenix as well, whose stables has taken a bit of damage there, but it looks like it's still standing, so that's good for him. So they're doing fairly well over there. They're massive amounts of cavalry, and of course the Linden Horse Archers is going to be crucial here. Them in conjunction with Belzebub's army is going to clean up that pretty nicely, I'd say. And down here, Excelsior is fighting the battle with the Dwarves. Of course, he does have a very vastly bigger army than the Dwarves do. Megrim has a few things. He's got himself a Faramir, though. That's pretty good. A nice thing to have as well. We get the Rohirrim coming out from Lazarus down the center there. Undoubtedly going to help out somewhere. Some Rohirrim over here as well. And the Lindens just doing lots of damage. Lindens are great, of course, because they can trample and they can fire. That's what makes them really strong. So they also kind of act as lancers, but not quite. They're not as good as melee. Well, I guess they're shit at melee, I guess. They can't destroy a building because they can't actually melee. But, I mean, they can do their archer damage pretty well. Faramir being sent over here to help out Excelsior, who is now facing down the Elves of Belzebub and the Dwarves of Douche. Unfortunately, the Lancers of Belzebub getting a huge run through on the archer line of Excelsior. Ooh, that hurts to watch. Unfortunate for him. And of course there's a statue here as well, buffing all of Belzebub's archers, which is going to make things very difficult for Excelsior. Definitely. So we still have lots of Lindens running around, healing up as well as they go, which is always handy for them. And let's go back over here. We got ourselves some Men of the West action going on. These are Fenix's troops, the green ones. Of course, they're having to face down the Lindens, and they're not doing a very good job of it. I think these are also from the top team, yeah. J2 shots pikemen. Of course, he's getting pikemen to counteract these guys here. And possibly the Rohirrim of Lazarus as well. So it's Lazarus' Rohirrim versus the Lindens of the chain here. The Rohirrim seem to be doing fairly well, though. Of course, they do have Eomer, which will help out. We have a Prince Brand also for douche. So, great hero to have. He looks like he's deciding to go home, though. He's taking a bit of damage. He's also being chased down by Faramir, of course. He doesn't want to stay snipe with Faramir. We do have a Boromir out for Excelsior, though. Great choice. That will keep the dwarves. Actually, that's not Excelsior's at all. That's Megrim's. Megrim going with the Boromir and the Faramir here. Excelsior doesn't have much of anything, actually, now that I look at the minimap. He is, what color? Greenish? Like a nasty green color. Looks like he's the one with the Faramir. I see. Okay. Well, I'm glad that's sorted. Oh god, of course. The marketplace shares between all Men of the West on the team, so now that Megrim has got a marketplace, all the Men of the West players have the glowing farms on this team, at least. Meaning they're all benefiting from the 12% increase in resources, which is pretty huge. So team-wide, they're going to be making a ton of money. That's pretty awesome, actually. So I guess there is a benefit to having all Men of the West in patch 5.0.1 of 2.02. I think that's being changed next patch, but I'm not positive. They are doing something with the marketplace, but I don't know what exactly. We have an Ent being brought up from Belzebub here on the Dwarven base. He's got quite the army himself there, sitting in the Dwarven doorstep. And Excelsior doesn't have much of anything, unfortunately for him. He does have himself a Eomer and a Faramir. But other than that, not a whole lot. Megrim going over here to creep this goblin cave, it looks like. Meanwhile, Lazarus' gigantic army of Rohirrim, led by his Eomer, running around, running amok. Trying to defend his allies, of course, wherever he's needed. There's Golem. I don't know if he'll be picked up. Doesn't look like it. We got Theoden out for Lazarus now. So he's going to have a very powerful cavalry army, for sure. Unfortunately, the Elf of Belzebub is unable to be countered here. There's a ton of defense for this Ent. So I don't see what Excelsior could do at this point. Megrim is pushing in here, trying to relieve a bit of pressure off his ally. But I don't think that's going to stop the Ent from throwing all his rocks. So it is possible Excelsior will lose his fort here. Although there are 4 Men of the West, so it is possible that also they all have rebuild. Lazarus does not. He has a heal and a rally call. Fenix does have rebuild though. He has heal and rally call as well. Looks like the Ent is killed off by Lazarus' army though. Just in the nick of time as well. As his fortress is taking a lot of damage. Douche has heal, rally call, and 5 power points. J2 Shot has himself a rally call and Farsight. Looks like there's a Glorfindel out for the chain as well. Pretty nice. good hero to have in this matchup, definitely, with all these cavalry units around. And it looks like Fenix is taking a bit of damage here as well. Linden's trying to burst down as many of the defenders as possible, while the hobbits and these soldiers do the damage. But the Lindens, of course, aren't going to destroy the base. Be unable to do so. Who am I spectating now? Megrim has himself a heal and a rally call, and we have a rally call for Excelsior, and that's it so far. The Chain has himself a Elven Wood and a rally call now. And Bels... no, that's a J2 shot. Has Hobbit allies and rally call 8 power points. I guess that was Belspub before. Whatever. Anyway, we have a King Dane out for the douche. The douche. It's just douche. Looks like a rebuild was thrown down. Unfortunately, though, there is an end here, and there is a complete army of dwarves and elves guarding it. I don't see them being able to stop them from destroying that fort. There is an army from Megrim coming from the flank here, but that's not going to be enough. And down goes the fortress of Excelsior. He's not out of the game yet, though. As you see, he's still alive. He's got himself a barracks and probably somewhere else his builder around, I would guess. Meanwhile, Lazarus is trying to fend off the guys in Fenix's base over here with his big Rohirrim army. Seems to be doing fairly well. Glorfindel got picked off there. Nice pick up there. They do have a couple wells. Of course, the more wells you stack, the more quickly your troops replenish. They don't heal up for quicker, but they do replenish quicker. Up to 4 wells, I believe. I think that's true. I've said it a few times, so I'm going to go with it. It is what I've heard. And now Megrim fighting down here and up here. Looks like Megrim has a cavalry army of his own. He has his own Eomer with his Rohirrim. So that should be useful for them. Rohirrim really being the key in this game here. Belspub having himself an Arwen up to level 4 now. Once he gets level 6, of course, he gets the Flood ability, which is always fun. And now Belspub is in Excelsior, not Excelsior base, Megrim's base here. Will he have enough stuff here to take it out, though? Yeah, we'll get some damage done, no doubt. Tom Bombadil being summoned in, though, to counteract the army of the Elves. I don't think he's going to have enough to keep this Ent going too long. He might get the barracks, though. Lazarus' cavalry army running in to save the day. They'll take down this Ent very quickly. As you see, the Rohirrim with the Forged Blades wreck these guys. Although Tom Bombadil being summoned in, scaring off the army of Lazarus. Of course, he does not want to get hit by a big sonic song while they're all clumped up. Another Ent going into melee, going to try and do some damage there. He'll get a few hits off, but with all the rebuilds and even the armor upgrade for Megrim's fort, it'll take forever for that to happen. I don't think he'll be getting it there. Of course, we do have the blue banners for Lazarus because he does have the ring. He picked up the ring, so he gets that banner decal upgrade, I guess you'd call it. Which is pretty neat. There's Belspub's base. It's looking fairly safe for now. Dwarven base of Douche looking fairly safe as well. Looks like there's another Ent there also. Looks like the Ent has been pulled back to try and throw rocks instead. Although some Rohirrim being brought back from Megrim, they should finish that Ent off easily. But a Dwarven army marching in on Megrim's base there. See how that works out for him. Oh, geez, we have a big attack from the Rohirrim of Lazarus on Fortress of Belspub. Unfortunately, he actually had to run. Seems the Elven Fortress was able to fend it off, and of course the Eagle Summon scaring him off as well. The Eagle Summon is going to do a bit of damage there. Ooh, nasty. That is a very real threat, having the Rohirrim run in with Glorious Charge, or even without it, and just surround the fort and take it down immediately. That is a thing that could happen. So that is something to look out for the players. J2 shot. Still fending off Sania here. Or Fenix, rather. Looks like he does have himself a Faramir. The Elven one being thrown down under the Lindens over here. So they'll get the buff. I believe it is 50% armor damage with the wood. Possibly. Yep, that is right. Looks like we do have an attack from the Dwarves still on Megrim's fort. Yeah, rally, not rally call. The shit is it called? Rebuild. That's what it's called. I was gonna go through like every power name before I found the right one. Thrown down on his fort though, to keep it alive. Unfortunately, Gloin is here by, not quite by himself. He still has a regiment of dwarves, a few of them actually. And there's still a Prince of Brand also picking off these Rohirrim and such. Getting a nice slam shot up there. He's managed to do a lot of damage to the fort. Will Gloin be enough? Will they have another rebuild? That is the question. If they do, then they should be able to save the fort. If not, I guess we'll see. Oh, that was so close, but the rebuild, clutch rebuild going in. And now Lazarus' army is coming in to save the day here. That's pretty brutal. We do have some elves from Belzebub down there as well. I did hear an Ent summon. I'm trying to find it. It's not necessarily Belzebubs, yeah, of course. It's the chains. Chain having a real Ent and a couple summoned ones. Trying to take down the fortress of Fenix here. A lot of stones. Of course, a lot of the rebuilds have been used, but not quite all of them, I'd imagine. I'm not going to go through the powers because there's too many players. Looks like Megrim has been defeated, though. His fortress was barraged, and that actually took him out. Jeez. Brutal. Alright, well that leaves the stuff over here. I think he left the game after his fort got destroyed, leaving his buildings to Lazarus. Unless Lazarus built that, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure Megrim built that early on. So Lazarus now has control of his buildings, as well as they are down a teammate. So the bottom team down one player. That's never a good thing, but Lazarus does have a very huge army of Rohirrim. So throwing on the rally call, he's got himself an Eomer in there, and probably a Theoden as well. Let's see how his attack fares against the fortress of Jatu-Shot. Oh god, it's going down super fast. This is not looking good. Whatever's coming out of that door is not going to be happy. The builder immediately getting killed off. The fortress going down. And that is a big loss for the northern team. So, in retaliation to losing a player, they immediately lose a player. And now it is 3-on-3 now. And the chain will lose his Ent mood over here as well. Chain throwing down some fortress upgrades to try and do what he can to defend against that Rohirrim army. That Rohirrim army is scary and nasty. Looks like Belzebub trying to defeat what's remaining over here. Sending down Ents and Elves to try and take out the remaining structures. He is looking to do so. Let's see if Lazarus gets another big fortress takedown here. This fortress seems much more defended than the last. As you see, that armor upgrade makes a huge difference. At least maybe the Elven fortress is a bit more tanky. I don't know. If he had the actual flood, crystal moat, he'd probably be doing fairly well with this fortress, I'd say. Fortunately, this fortress is falling, and of course the Glorious Charge is going to make it near impossible to kill these Rohirrim. The floodgate is helping though, but that one of course is facing the wrong direction. Most of the guys are on the other side. Not going to get hit with that. And I think the Fortress of the Chain will go down here. And the chain will be taken out shortly after. Oh, he's not quite dead yet. Looks like we have some Dwarven Zealots though out for douche. As well as Gloin down here. And Belzebub as well. They have cleaned up the remaining structures here. Now they have to take down the Fortress of Lazarus before they lose the building here. Belzebub's fort now under attack by the army of Lazarus. As you see, the Crystal Moat does have all these upgrades on his base. He's even got the Enshrouding Mist. And actually, the attack is failing for Lazarus. Look at how well this Elven Fortress is actually dealing with these Rohirrim. Very well indeed. And of course there is a Tom Bombadil here as well. From Belzebub. He also had a few pikemen in here with the help of the Dwarves. Lazarus is sent back home here. Looks like the Elves aren't actually dead over here. The chain's still alive. Meanwhile, J2-Shot going... not J2-Shot. Belzebub going for an attack on Lazarus' base. Lazarus' base is quite well defended as well. He has trebuchets with fire upgrades, so Ents are going to have a tough time as well. One hit from these, and the Ent gets set on fire and pretty much dies. It's not ideal. Lazarus' army is much smaller than it was, that's for sure. course, they do catch these Ents out of position and take them around fairly easily. A lot of these guys are level 5, some of them are at least. Some of them are level 3, etc. Eomer is level 9 now. So he does have all his abilities, of course. And now it's really going to be up to Belzebub and Douche to try and take down Lazarus. If they can take down Lazarus, they might have a chance, because it seems actually Fenix lost his fortress as well. I didn't notice that happened, but that did happen. His base is still alive. Ah, he has a new one, though. Unless this is someone else's. Nope, that is Phoenix's. So Phoenix does have a fort there. So he's definitely by no means out of the game. And he doesn't have to worry about too big of surprise attacks like the northern team will, with the Rohirrim just showing up randomly, taking out a fortress. Very suddenly. Tom Bombadil being summoned in to scare off the army of Belzebub. Sonic Song hitting it a little bit, but not as much as I'm sure they would like to have hit. That's the thing. When Tom Bombadil gets summoned, you gotta scatter. You gotta run. Or else you'll get hit with a Sonic Song that will cripple your army. It has been said that Tom Bombadil is a little bit too powerful to be able to scare off an entire army. I kind of agree, but kind of disagree. I don't know. I'm on the fence about him, really. Lazarus' army is still very large. Large and in charge. And unfortunately, the Dwarves are going to have to deal with this. Will he have enough to stop the army of Lazarus? I guess we'll find out. There's the rally call. Dwarven Fortress doesn't seem to have anything, like, around it, of course. He doesn't even have the oil casks, which would actually help out. But the Eagle Summon will help out. Belzebub summoning down the Eagles to try and counteract these Rohirrim. He does fairly well. And a Flood Power. Oh, they ran right into it. That was beautiful. Great flood there from Belzebub. Chasing him off into a corner and then flooding in that direction. That was good. Fortunately, though, a lot of them still alive. Actually, the majority of them still alive. They're all very much alive. So not doing quite as much damage as I was thinking it might have. Still, it was cool to look at, I guess. Nice firework show or something. Or waterwork, I guess. Not really firework. Now Belzebub and the Dwarves pushing in a little bit. Chasing after. Lazarus' fort is going to be hard to take down, though. With that giant army of Rohirrim and the upgrades on his fortress, it's going to be difficult. It looks like Fenix is also in functioning order once again. He's able to push out with an army. He does have himself a decent-sized force here, led by Faramir and Eomer. Or is that Theoden? It's Theoden. His Theoden actually, he does have his glorious charge as well. But of course he doesn't really have much in the way of cavalry. So not much he can do there. He has one battalion, not even a full battalion of Gunner Knights. So not going to get too much done with that. He should really get some Rohirrim, I think. We've seen how well it does. If Lazarus could somehow get himself a, I don't know, one trebuchet even, behind his army, he'd actually be able to take down the Fortress Belzebub, I think. Maybe. Of course, he has to contend with the powers and the armies of Belzebub as well, so not going to be easy. And of course, the Dwarves are here also in full force. Dwarves with upgrades, going to be hard to kill. They get the Mithril Mail, the Forged Blades, and they get Zealots as well. So all in all, very powerful. There's a lot of arrows coming out of here. I'm surprised Lazarus doesn't have the fire arrow upgrade for his Rohirrim. He could go for it. He has to, of course, build the stables. Looks like the chain's been defeated now. He's Rohirrim finishing him off, I guess. So that leaves 2 on 2 now. Unless Excelsior is still alive. It is possible. Actually, no, I think Excelsior is still alive here. This stuff is his, so he does have a barracks and a fort. So that does actually give a... Oh, he's also got a stable as well. That gives a benefit to the southern team, I'd say. I'd say the southern team already had a benefit because of just the sheer amount of Rohirrim Lazarus has. And how well he's doing. It's going to be only a matter of time before he gets the power points necessary to destroy Belzebub's base. If he can destroy everything around it with a earthquake, he can then follow it up with the Rohirrim army and just finish him off. Elrond's all by himself. He's going to go down fairly quickly there, unfortunately. Netting a little bit of money from the what is it called? Outlaw leadership from Eomer there. But he's at 19 power points, which he's getting close to whatever power point is 25 on that side. We have someone doing 9 allies and Tom Bombadil as well and stuff for Fenix there. Once again, the dwarves going for an attack. They're probably not going to make too much headway though. Although in saying that, he does have a barrage to follow it up, so that's good. So now he might have a chance, although Tom Bombadil being summoned in. So we'll see what happens with that. Gloin does have his level 4 power to use. He could use that in the fortress. He probably should. He is actually almost level 10 as well. Level 10 Gloin could actually be very nasty with a Shatterhammer. Douche the Dwarf does have barrage, 16 power points remaining. He's getting there on his 25. Bellspo, of course, already had his flood, we saw. He's up to 6. There goes the glorious charge Rohirrim of Lazarus. Trying to clean up the remaining dwarves. Of course, they can trample all these pikemen all day with that glorious charge. Glorious charge is a huge buff to Rohirrim. And now we have an army of the dead. Who is this? Lazarus. Summoning the Oathbreakers to try and save his fort. And that will be enough. That was unfortunate. They got very close. So close. And that decimated the army of the dwarves as well as anything else. Looks like Bellspub's Legolas running away there. He's up to level 4. We have a Dwarven Catapult. Hopefully he doesn't get caught by those Oathbreakers. Of course, the Rohirrim will see it and take him out easily. Oh, Legolas is going down quick. Legolas dies fairly quickly anyway. That amount of Rohirrim? No way. Well, that was eventful. Jeez. We have Thranduil out for Bellspub as well. Fortunately, the archer heroes aren't too great against the Rohirrim, as you notice. Lazarus placing on a beacon there, showing there is a catapult there. Needs to be dealt with. And indeed it does. Rebuild being used on his fort. That's the benefit of having 2 allies with fortresses that have rebuild and powers. He will have the powers necessary to save his base repeatedly. As well, the northern team only has 1 rebuild and 2 players in that team. So it'll take some time, I'd imagine, but I'd imagine the southern team will be victorious eventually if I was a betting man. Because the more power Fenix gains, the longer he's alive, the more strength he'll gain with his archers and his pikemen and heroes and such. And Lazarus, of course, will continue to have the Rohirrim army. Although it is a lot smaller than it used to be. He's lost a lot of numbers, but he still has a fair amount of battalions. He could pull back and have him heal up, of course. He does have a House of Healing also. I believe that heals around your fortress. Kind of like a well, so that's why he doesn't have a well. I'm pretty sure. This battalion right here, I'm going to go down though. Oh, that sucks. They were level 4. And fully upgraded as well. Looks like we have some hobbits and some pikes being brought in over here. Nowhere near the fortresses or anything, but they're still over here, and they're still going to take some buildings away from the southern team here. Of course, getting some power points as well. We have some Knights of Dol Amroth out. Very nice. Of course, they're not very good against pikes, so he doesn't want to run those in there. But Knights of Dol Amroth do a lot of damage. They're great cavalry. And of course, they do get this leadership buff for horses. Nearby Gondor Knights and Rohirrim gain 33% armor and damage and experience gain. And of course, they do have basically a weaker version of King Theoden's Glorious Charge. This one gives 50% damage, 100% armor. And they don't get slowed by the charge, so they can just run through an army. It's very, very nice. Of course, Theoden is much better, though. He gives the leadership, and his thing gives 100% damage, 300% armor, and the same slow. But that 300% armor makes them just unkillable. But 100% is still no slouch. Some pikemen are actually being brought out here. These nice little armor being slaughtered by this Fenix group and Gloin that have been brought out there. Gloin really needs to get himself level 10. That will really help. Of course, his Shatterhammer probably won't kill these, but it's still sending them flying and do a lot of damage. Especially since they're buffed and they probably have the armor upgrade and such. Yeah, they do. Of course they do. So yeah. I still think Lazarus should go for the arrow upgrades. Wouldn't hurt. He doesn't need it, but at the same time, he is using his guys, a lot of them in bow mode, and they do more fire damage. Especially against the elves. Elves are kind of susceptible to fire damage, as you would expect, as they are tree hugger people. It's kind of their thing. Looks like Faramir's mounted on his horse as well. Most people don't use Faramir mounted, but he can actually be pretty useful as a mounted hero. But he's generally more useful as an archer, but not against cavalry armies and such. Especially on a big map, it's nice to kind of be able to move around. It looks like Fenix actually has a fairly sizable force as well. 3 battalions of tower guards, like 4 battalions of archers there. Led by Eomer on foot. There's a dwarven builder being sent over this way. Looks like Belzebub has controlled map with the trees all over the place there. He's definitely got to do so. He's got to keep his economy and his command points up. So he's trying to mount a bunch of Ents here. You really should go for Treebeard though. If you're going to go for Ents, you really want the armor buff for Treebeard. I think it's pretty crucial to keep the Ents alive. Especially since they die so quickly to these damn Rohirrim. And you're seeing even armies of Elven pikemen can't fight off the Rohirrim very well. They take the tramples very well, of course. But Mithlond sentry generally are considered one of the weaker pikemen in the game. Oh jeez. I forgot about that. Lazarus does have the ring, so he built Galadriel. Well, that's going to make things impossible for the northern team. Looks like Lazarus going for a PowerPoint run here. Him and Excelsior. Excelsior has his cavalry army. Looks like Excelsior has his Eowyn, or Eowyn. I call her Eowyn for some reason, but it is Eowyn. She does have a Shield Maiden. Gains 100% armor. She gets that level 4, so her last ability is a level 4 ability. Of course, she has the Disguise ability, which is just the dumbest ability I've ever seen in a game. I really don't see the point of that. She doesn't even disguise well either. She's pretty obvious. Being placed by Excelsior over here for some reason. Probably showing that we should go over there. It looks like we almost have 25 points for Lazarus again. And he has summoned Dunedain and Rohan, so he can go for Earthquake immediately. He doesn't need the middle power because he's going down the right and left side of the tree. Phoenix up to 9. He's nowhere near his 25, but he does have a middle power point, so he can go for the 25 once he gets that point. Looks like Belzebub going for an attack here. The Dwarven Barrage almost off cooldown. Earthquake nowhere near though. He's at now 9 power points though. We have Flood and Ents all ready to be used as well. Unfortunately, Galadriel is here. She should counter this Elven attack. We have Eagles as well, actually. So Belzebub's attack could do a lot of damage if it wasn't for Galadriel. If Galadriel wasn't here, this would have been pretty brutal. Fortunately for him, she is very much there. There's the Flood. Oh, barely hitting the army of Lazarus. Missing its mark pretty bad, actually. It was a good attempt. He might have been able to hit it, but he should have cast it a bit more over here, I think. Lazarus is Rohirrim just a bit too fast, and of course there's probably a delay of some kind. You got to keep that in mind. And now the Eagles being summoned, and they're probably not going to get too much done, considering Lazarus' fortress has fire arrow upgrades and a few towers as well to boot. Nope. Eagles die fairly quick. The Ents, of course, being killed off like I knew they would. They died to Rohirrim very, very easily. Also going for another attack here. The Dwarves also helping out. Summoning in a Undermine with some Dwarves. But Galadriel is here. She should defend the fortress easily against these guys here. Excelsior throwing down his summoned Rohirrim allies also to help out. It looks like actually Phoenix is going for an attack, although his army just got hit barraged. Hit with barrage. So they're not going to get very far, I think. And the Fortress of Belzebub will kill off any stragglers if they get close. That Silverthorn arrow upgrade on the fortress towers of the Elves is pretty strong. So his fort should hold fairly well. Looks like Tom Baldwin trying to get in here for a big Sonic song. Unfortunately, he's not going to have time. Just had time to do a little jig. That's all you can ask for, I guess. And now we have a lot of Rohirrim, not really Rohirrim. We have a couple Rohirrim. There's a lot of cavalry units for Excelsior here, who's starting to gain his self and strength again. So that's good. He's got a force over here as well. So actually, he does have a fairly sizable cavalry army. They don't have upgrades or anything, but they are still effective. At least I don't think they have upgrades. No, these are summoned actually. Never mind. They can't benefit from upgrades. These ones are not summoned though, and they do not have upgrades as of yet. He could go for upgrades, but only time will tell, I guess. I'd imagine since he's in a corner, he's probably not hugely rich.
Tear down this evil place.
He's got a fair amount of money. Making money semi-regular. Of course, he does have the benefit of the marketplace, so that's always nice. I just happen to be at the right place at the right time. Earthquake being thrown down, actually being rebuilded immediately, and actually saves this archer range. Unfortunately, Lazarus following it up with a big attack, and we still don't have any oil casts for him. But the fortress being demolished, and it looks like Douche will be out of the game. There he goes. I lose Belzebub alone against 3 enemies. I don't see that faring very well for him, even though Belzebub is very good. Even this is a bit too much for him. Looks like Fenix setting up shop over here on the right side of his base as well. He's got wells and statues, and also getting his siege equipment going there, so he'll be able to take down the fortress of Belzebub if left unchecked there. Of course, Lazarus has his full army strength, and with the support of Excelsior, they should be able to kill everything around. Lazarus summoning the army of the dead. There's nothing really to kill here, but of course maybe he didn't know that, as there is an enshrouding mist here, which would have kept anything here invisible. And now all the armies converging in on Belzebub's fort, although not doing actually almost any damage to it. They're taking out the everything around it. Heal being thrown down to keep them alive. There's the glorious charge, but the fortress is taking the damage like a champ. Look at this thing. Yeah, that just goes to show you, upgrade your elven fortresses, people. They're quite resilient, it seems. But unfortunately, this is a bit too much for Belzebub, and he has been overwhelmed. There goes his fortress, and this might be his last building here. I believe so. And of course the southern team's area seeming very safe. Actually, Belzebub's still alive here. He has a pikeman battalion over here. Pike battalion there. And there as well. He's still alive somehow. He's got a building somewhere. There it is. They're on the hunt. The army of dead being summoned in because why not? And everyone knows where his last building is. And I fear this is the last stand for Belzebub. There we go. G2 shit has been defeated. And the 4 Men of the West team wins the game. So that was an interesting match. Fairly lengthy, but fairly good as well. It just shows the power of a full-on Rohirrim army also. So that is a legit strat that works pretty well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. I did. And hopefully it was a good cast. I will see you guys in the next cast of the Rise of the Witch King patch 2.02 version 5.0.1. So I'll see you guys next time.